Okay, guys, today I will be interviewing a Kung Fu master and his book that just came out, The Tao of Wing Chun. It's a little bit different from the audience that I interview. How are you doing, Sifu, Danny?
Yes, I'm doing good. And how are you?
Um, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Can you give us can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yes, okay. My full name is Danny Xuan. I come from a pretty, versatile family and background. My father was half Tibetan, half Chinese, and both are, of course, enemies. And, he grew up a pretty tough life because, he was what they called him half breed, and both sides were didn't accept him, and he had to be a man of his own. And then he married my mother, and she was Vietnamese actually, so she was the third wife. And they met in Burma, and she was actually a revolutionist. She was trying to she joined the insurgency to throw out the French government, which was the occupier or the colonists. And so in her escape, her group was being chased by the government, and in her escape she landed in Burma, and today it's called Myanmar. And that's when my father met my mother. My father was on some kind of hunting expedition, yeah, and he was coming back, and he met her, and he fell in love, and he basically kidnapped her. He didn't want to, she was 14 years younger than him. He was 30 years old, and she was just 16. So, but he just kidnapped her and took her to his hometown, and then the rest is history. And then wartime, Second World War, and at the end of Second World War, the communist government, were able to fight off the Japanese with, the communist government and the national Chinese government. They teamed up together to fight the Japanese. But once, they threw the Japanese out, and the national government tried to eliminate, massacre all the communists, and but and then the communists survived, and eventually threw out the national Chinese government. But everything was unknown, and my father was involved in the National Army in a small way. He was a stock officer, and he knew his life would be in danger, or and his whole family. So he took the opportunity to he was offered a position as missionary to go to Tibet by some Christian missionaries. He took that offer, and left China, and then he went on his way with the family to Tibet. Tibet was taken over by China, and so he couldn't go any further. So got stuck in India, and I was born in India. So I lived 15 years of my life in India. I started martial arts in India when I was 11. Started with judo, and was with the it was set up by the actual headquarters, judo headquarters, Kodokan. They were trying to spread judo around the world, and they set one up in India, Calcutta, a very hot place, and they sent a judo master to teach us. However, we're talking about early 60s. I guess it was 1962. And in those days, the Japanese were very Japanese. They couldn't, live, eat any other kinds of food or have any other culture than the Japanese. So he couldn't live anymore. I mean, he couldn't take it in India. So he just begged Kodokan to, let him come back to Japan. So he went back, and we were very disappointed. We didn't have any teachers. At Kodokan assured us, says, "Don't worry, we have sailors coming to, Calcutta." Calcutta was a harbor in India, a port. So sailors would come there and so we'll any judokas that come to there, we'll send them over to practice and teach you guys. So as it turned out, well, it was a blessing in disguise. We ended up with all different kinds of judo guys that were very different from each other, and so we learned all various aspects of judo. So I learned till I was 15. I was actually very, very good. I was literally throwing adults at that age, successfully. Pretty well, I could throw everyone except a very big guy. I was a tiny fellow, 15 years old, but not like the Western 15-year-old. I was probably something like 120 pounds. But I was dealing with guys. Some of the most of the judokas in over there were all Chinese. There were a couple of Indian people, mostly were Chinese, and they were big fellas. So I was throwing most of them except for the biggest guy. And another thing I learned from it, because these guys came and back and forth, we didn't have a steady teacher, so we never got graded. So all the years that we did, judo, I remained white belt. So of course, as a beginner, we all were anxious to have this belt, and then after a while, we just became a passe. That urge wasn't there anymore because we weren't going to get it anyway. So which was a blessing in disguise as well. It means I stopped chasing after these belts and certificates and which a lot of these martial artists do. And then when I was 15, I migrated to Canada and then I took up Taekwondo. I did 9 years of Taekwondo, but while I was doing Taekwondo, then I encountered Wing Chun. And at first, I wasn't impressed with Wing Chun. I had, Hong Kong kids come from Hong Kong with Wing Chun, and they joined Taekwondo. And especially at the time when Bruce Lee, started appearing in screens and was kicking a lot, and it was very obvious those kicks were not Wing Chun kicks; these were like Taekwondo kicks. So they joined. And I was a senior in the Wing Chun, in the Taekwondo, and I was kicking these guys' ass. They couldn't defend against my kicks, so I wasn't impressed with Wing Chun. And they kept saying, Bruce Lee does Wing Chun. I said, no, he does Taekwondo because in the movies was a kicks, and I wasn't noticing Bruce Lee's hands, right? And I knew he had very nice hands because he was doing stuff that we didn't do in Taekwondo with the hands. But in the movies, he did a lot of kicks. So, and so happened, I was working part-time in, while I was still going to school, I was working part-time for a clothing store, and next door was a restaurant. Am I going a little bit too long on this?
Well, it's okay. I'm just getting a feel, or the audience getting a feel. But I would say, I do have a question though. Do you speak Vietnamese?
No, I don't. It's the strange thing was, actually, because my mom was an insurgent, and so, once she escaped from there, she kept hidden that she was. When she was in China, she didn't let people know that she was Vietnamese. Okay, so and then when the family moved to India, she was stopped at the border and asked, what nationality she was. And she didn't have, in those days, people didn't always have passports. And, she said she was Vietnamese, and then there was some trouble, they were starting asking backgrounds. Anyway, the missionaries were able to talk the immigration into letting her go, she was actually in Hong Kong from China to Hong Kong. So when she was going Hong Kong to India, they were questioning. So, she didn't want her history to be known. So she kept it hidden. So I didn't even know she was Vietnamese still much, till, I think I was in my 20s or something, and it came out that she was Vietnamese. So only some, my very older siblings knew, but some of the younger siblings didn't know. So yeah, we never got to speak Vietnamese.
Yeah, because the reason I asked, I was gonna say something in Vietnamese, but it's okay.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so basically, why did you write this book, and what's your message you're trying to convey to the readers?
Well, I have a lot of knowledge in my head. I've been teaching, for many years. Wing Chun alone, I've done, now it's 47 years. No, it was 1970 when I started Wing Chun, and a lot of knowledge. And but as years go by, when I learned it, it was very, very closed. It was only taught to the Chinese, and I tried to bring some of my Canadian friends to join. My teacher wouldn't accept him, because he had taken a vow that you can't, in the old days they were made, they had to take a vow they wouldn't teach to foreigners. But he didn't make us, take the vow. He was a bit more open to that, so he didn't, he said, he took the vow, but he's not gonna. He's living in Canada now. He understood, so he didn't make me take a vow. So, but as the years went by, as I developed in my Wing Chun, I started to understand more, about the way the founders intended Wing Chun. So, but I was seeing how Wing Chun was started to veer far away from that once it got to the Western world. And in fact, Yip Man had once said, told us, students, look, the guys, practice, be dedicated to the art, or else one of these days you're going to be learning from the Westerners. So it is happening today, right? Because there's a loss of this transmission of this proper Wing Chun. And in fact, amongst some of the Wing Chun teachers who are not widely known, who are quiet but very good, they said, well, we're happy they're learning, doing the wrong way. We're happy that certain teachers taught them the bad Wing Chun and they're doing the wrong, the bad way. And, we still have the good one. So anyway, and this is going on, and I see it's really, it's being bastardized. And, I live in Canada, I lived probably half my life as an Asian, half my life as a Westerner. So I'm half, and I understand both sides. And however, without being critical, making sound like I'm racist. I know some of the characteristics of so the Chinese, and I can criticize the Chinese. I can also criticize the Westerners because I live both lives. But one of the thing about, I would say, one of the faults or weaknesses of the Western culture, and it's been going on for centuries. They like to teach. They're not really into learning. Okay, so especially you're talking about the old, old generation. They went all over the world to teach their language, to teach their, language, teach their culture, but they never picked up any of the cultures, the countries that they went into. A very small segment of people do. Right? Today it's a bit younger people, a bit different. They're going to other countries, to learn. But however, it's still a bit innate in them. It's a bit of the of the ego that comes out. Like they learn a little bit of Wing Chun, and then before they're masters. they're teaching they haven't really spent that much time, and they become teachers. And same thing you see with yoga. They go to India with the yoga master who spend their lifetime doing yoga. They come in, they go there for a month or 6 months maybe, and come back, open the studios, and there's no mention of the teachers, nothing. It's all about and they market their brand of yoga and is selling products and totally different philosophy from the actual original yoga. And this is a bit what's happening with Wing Chun too. So people haven't spent enough time with proper teacher. And now Wing Chun, just like yoga or cooking for that matter, you know, you can't learn, cooking Italian food from Chinese, or go to learn Chinese cooking from Italian. They have a feel for it because it's part of the culture. Okay, the martial arts, Chinese martial arts, is Chinese culture. And not to say that all Chinese guys are good at kung fu either, right? But the point of it, the culture is part of this art. And to really understand that art, you have to embrace that culture as well. And if you disregard that, and that's what happens, a lot of they say, we don't need this part of the kung fu, this cultural part. And so you see these guys, and a lot of it again is the fault of these movies, which makes it any of these arts very spectacular and physical. And so the mass get sold very easily on anything that's flowery and spectacular. And so people see the movies and then they join martial arts with already certain concept in their heads, and they go and then when they learn a little bit and they go out, start teaching, and they become that flashy guy that they saw in movies. And all the stuff you see in YouTube are guys who are trying to emulate these actors, movie stars. Bang, 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 hitting guys, like Donnie Yen hitting guys 15 times in the chest. If the 1-2 punch didn't finish the guy, something's wrong with your punch. I got to hit him 15 times, right? So you have to remember, as I wrote in the book, the movie is supposed to be spectacular. Is to take you out of reality. But when you practice martial art, you got to go back to saying, yeah, what is the reality? But people get lost in this, and it's something a lot of people go in with certain inferiority complex. They've been pushed around maybe as when they're kids, or they're bullied, so they take it up. It's okay, I'm going to be tough, but they really actually haven't achieved that, their goals. But they cover it up with flashiness. And a lot of these guys talk tough, but they don't go to UFC. They know they're going to get their ass kicked, right? But they will beat up on the students, right? They'll go and hammer the students who are inferior or who are very respectful of them, right? And you'll see me on YouTube. I spar with the guys. And my students are allowed to hit me, whatever they can do, right? But the other guys on YouTube, they just tell the guy, "Oh, you come throw me a couple of punches," right? And then these guys go there, throw a couple, and then bang, 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 bang. It's all mostly choreographed, anyway. The student comes in with some lame punches, charges, and then the teacher hammers the shit out of the guy, But all these guys, the teachers, they got, they're not mentally stable. They haven't really learned the art. They haven't learned the philosophy, like you said. The philosophy is missed. It's part of it. It's always been that martial arts in China in the old days was a form of religion. Okay, again, Chinese never really actually had religion. Really, when you talk religion in terms of a god, never, right? It was always about philosophy, whether it's Taoism, Buddhism, or any of the Confucianism. All those were just philosophies. They were never talked about some super being looking at you, and so it wasn't a religion per se. So it was always a philosophy. So people took to that philosophy. The martial arts was a way of bettering yourself, your character, mentally, physically, and so on, right? But that is definitely lost in the majority of the schools. And so it was time for me to write something on the principles of Wing Chun, rather than some techniques. And people usually go to join schools for techniques. They think there's some magic technique that's going to take that's going to work for them, and they can, there's some secret technique that they're going to do, and they're going to, make them win every fight. No, and it's not. And I'll admit it to you right now. I could end up, in a fight with a guy who's never done any martial art and get licked. You don't know. You never know, right? But again, the thing I feel inside me is that, I'm better than if I didn't do anything. I've got that chance that I have, right? Because I'm doing something. And again, particularly the way I'm doing it, it's about teaching awareness rather than just techniques. So yeah, I'm going a bit long on this again. So if you have any other questions,
Yeah, I do. But thank you for making it clear. It's not just. I wanted to get the audience to understand. It's not just the technique, but it's about the philosophy too. That's what you hit home.
Yeah.
I like that. And I would like to ask. There's a how can we get the best out of Sunum Tao, Chum Q, and Buji? How can we understand it and apply it into our life or apply it into a fight and understanding?
Well, you see, as I said, most schools train techniques, and they have, they're too reliant on techniques, and when they start sparring, you can see on YouTube and so on, all the Wing Chun guys, when they go in the ring or sparring something, everything's out the window. there's no any sign of Silum Tao Chum Kyu or Buji. It's just some crappy boxing. You're just swinging arms, like a bunch of kids, swinging arms and fighting. There's nothing. So it's because the techniques are there, right? Wing Chun, they do have techniques. But before you get to the techniques, you must, learn all the small pieces. And it doesn't matter, what you do. So say, do you have a hobby? Like any particular hobbies,
I like reading, and I like reading. So
reading. Okay, so I don't know how I'm going to use that as an example, but say go on.
I was going to say drawing. How about
Drawing.
that?
Okay, that's good. Yeah, very good. Drawing. So in a drawing, okay, first of all, if you want to, advance in drawing, you must understand all the different tools, your pencils, right? There are different kinds of pencils, right? You just, as a kid, maybe, my 7-year-old just takes a fountain, like a ballpoint pen, and she draws, right? So that's one level, right? Hun? Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's one level of, a drawing. So she expresses her, creativity. But beyond that, when you want to go advanced, you have to understand some, the tools of the trade, the pencils, different kinds of paper. She's just, using paper from a computer printing paper. But if you really want to be a serious drawer, you have different grades of papers, right? So once you start understanding the different grades of paper, different kinds of pencils, and then you work with them, how the result's going to come out with, this paper with this pencil, right? And then if you start coloring, you have to understand, again, whether it's crayons or, a watercolor or acrylic, you start understanding the tools and the nature of these things. And so all the stuff, first of all, you have to understand that before you get really into that, right? And, but in the end, as you get better, you start, your actual awareness increases. It means you're feeling for that drawing, right? You're learning to express yourself the way you are. You're not just copying, another drawing or you started, getting a feel. So, and one day you may become the best drawer in the world. And in a lot of cases, you don't even know why you're so good, right? And just like a lot of, football players or, they just know they're good. Boxing, Ali, whatever he does is good. But in a lot of cases, these guys are not able to teach, right? It's in them, and they don't know how it happened. So, but I've come to the conclusion by, studying this. I'm trying to find, the solution, why, certain players, are better than others, or, why, Van Gogh became, so good in his painting, so on. And the other, the final, goal, I believe, what made them this way, or Bruce Lee, is that they became very aware of everything. The awareness, okay? That awareness made them see things differently, feel things differently, okay? So, again, I write in the book, and you question why Beckham, scores more with goal than his peers, or or Ronaldo, or Messi, all these guys. Why? Yeah, they practice a lot, but do they have any particular technique? Can you name a special technique Muhammad Ali or Bruce Lee did that makes him stand out? No, they were able to adapt to the situation all the time, right? A typical perfect fight was with him, Ali, with George Foreman, right? He was there. He didn't know this guy George Foreman was killing everybody. And with Fraser, it was Ali's toughest opponent. Or Norton was another tough one. And Ali was just bouncing them. I mean, Foreman was just bouncing like a basketball, And Ali went in the ring, and there, at that moment, he started taking advantage of the ropes, right? And just making him miss, and tired him out, and finally cleaned him out, right? So where did all this come from? He didn't practice rope-a-dope. Before that, he just made it up at the time. So it was to show it's not about taking, it's that feeling as you go in there to become aware. You start reading the person. You start. First of all, you got to be aware of yourself too. Oh, yeah. That's why these guys are able to, very accurately, whether they shoot arrow or kick the ball into the goalpost. It's that awareness of the body, the move, and the mind, the focus. It said, that's where the ball needs to go, and that leg will do the job of just putting in there. You understand? It's that the body awareness, your mind and the body becomes one. And this is a very difficult part. Yeah. So when you become, aware of yourself, you're physically and mentally, knowing yourself, really truly knowing yourself, okay, then it answers everything. Whether it's, your personal life, you want to better yourself, first you got to, be truthful to yourself, right? We all lie to ourselves all the time. You look in the mirror, you see a different person. You think, and when you see your photographs, you say, oh, wow, I look kind of, whatever it is, But when you look in the mirror, you lie to yourself and all. Now, can you be true to yourself, right? So once you become true to yourself, then it opens all the kind of doors, right? So, you physically, you become, more proficient in things you do. And you become better in dealing with people. You start sensing spirituality and everything. And martial arts, you start, feeling, knowing that person. You're not only self-centered. Knowing yourself doesn't mean being self-centered, right? You become, and achieve self. This is part of the training. You become one with that person. So you take this hand. Say, for example, take your left hand and put your right hand together. Go ahead. Yeah. So say push your right hand to your left. Yeah. Push your right hand to the left and left one to the right. Okay. Yeah. There's no resistance, right? So because your left brain knows your right brain, and so there's no resistance. It goes together. So it wasn't like this. Oh, okay. But this is what happens with the people. As soon as you push, the other person pushes back. It becomes like this. So it's not one with that person. So when you become one, in fact, you get to know that person even more than that person knows himself. Because if that person is not aware of himself, his actions, then he doesn't know himself. But if you train yourself to become so aware, you already know him better than you do, his actions. So in a way, in that way, you become ahead of that guy. So like Bruce Lee says, in Enter the Dragon, it hits. The arm moves by itself. It hit. Well, it hit doesn't mean it's just a reflex, some kind of reflex. Your mind's still working. Okay, it's just that your mind is processing much faster. Okay, reflexes when a doctor tells you to cross your knee and then bang hits a nerve and your foot goes up. Knee opens up, or if somebody comes in your eye and you just bat, right? Those are reflexes. Those are already built in our bodies already from evolution. There's certain things from our survival techniques. Okay, we've already have those things. But when you're sparring and when you're hitting someone, your mind is working. It's a matter of if you're able to process fast, and if you're able to, in a way, slow down time. Okay, and that's basically, they've done researches, and they say all the best sports people are able to do that. So in a way, almost like we're seeing ourselves in slow motion, the other person's in slow motion. And so the way I teach Wing Chun, okay, now just like everything else in life, okay, if you go in without any goals, then you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and maybe eventually you're going to get to the goals, but you're going to make a lot of mistakes. Just like if you're driving and if where you have a destination, maybe you don't even have a map, but you have a sense of direction and you go towards that, and you eventually find maybe you'll make some mistakes, right? But if you already have a map already mapped out for you, right, then you don't make those mistakes. You'll get there faster and without all this hassles or ever getting lost. Some people never get to the destinations. So the same way in when I teach Wing Chun, I already tell them, this is what we're going for. We're training to build up your awareness. Okay, so when you have that goal in mind and you know the direction, then you know what you're doing, and you're going to achieve that, rather than spending 20 years on techniques and also get the awareness, but even don't even know that that's what you have, right? So awareness, I cite this example in my book. In the 50s, the Coca-Cola went to these movie theaters and said, hey, we'll pay so much money and put in in a movie film is 24 frames per second. And so I said, okay, put in one Coke picture per frame per a second, or two, right? And so they agreed to that. So what happens is that the audience are watching, it's flashing so fast, right? It's that they're seeing it and it is storing it, but they're not able to recall immediately. That's all, because they just see the movie, right? Intermission comes, and people go there. In those days, the theaters. Today, these drink companies, they lock them up, right? If they buy whatever agreement they make, they said you're only going to sell Coke or only going to sell Pepsi. But in the old days, they sold both. Yeah, So, but the people all went to buy Coke because they were seeing this all the time. So, well, the government eventually stopped that. They call it subliminal ad. You're forcing people to do something that without really letting them know, obviously. So, but the point I'm trying to say is that it's there, right? So let's imagine the guy who's running the projector, and he sees it very clearly, that Coke bottle is popping up, every second. He's seeing at least one frame or two. He can't even enjoy the movie anymore because he sees it now. He just sees that Coke bottle now, right? So the thing I'm saying is that if he is able to see that, why can't we? Understand? So same thing here. I'm going to teach my students to do things slowly. So that's why the Tai Chi was always been taught slowly. Okay. Wing Chun, also, in fact, Yip Man used to do it for, stand there at the ceiling table for an hour. And I do that also. So you become very aware of every moment that your hands, where it's at, what it's doing, what your body's doing, everything, every moment. So basically that moment, again, say you break that 1 second to 24 frames instead of, 24 units instead of, 1 unit, right? So now when you do that, you have actually slowed down the time. So when the guy is doing some action, you're seeing, that 1 second is delayed into 24 units and you have time to react, to change. But if you're not used to that kind of stuff, if you're not used to seeing, your mind things, slowing things down, then you don't see it. And you don't see your own action either. You don't know what's happening. That's why people overcommit. They throw a punch, and then before you know, they're getting hit. Why? So when you watch, I don't know if you visited my YouTube channel.
I have. I have.
My students say themselves, it looks like, they said, when I watch the video, it looks like they're saying that, I'm quoting them, as though I'm not even trying, right? And and people who watch are going to say, oh, his students are just cooperating, right? Right? But he says, I'm trying my damn best to put that shot in there. But it looks that way because I dissolve the force. When they're halfway somewhere, in their strike, I've already, taken them somewhere else. So it doesn't look like, they've tried, because I've dissolved that force, right? So when you look at my video, it's not impressive. Not like these guys who go, wah, 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 wah. You see some guys, do that. But it's because the other guy's not doing anything also, and they just throw it, right. But I'm in between, I'm saying, in between that 1 second action, somewhere in the middle, I already changed things because I became aware of it already. Do you understand? So the changes and the changes are not hard. I'm just taking that action, that force to another direction. It was intended over here. I just took it a little bit over there. So, and the guy, force is good and, just it dissipated, right? And so, yeah, so my training, like I said, when I teach, it's about, and also, again, as I mentioned in the book, the other schools are throwing a bunch of jigsaw puzzles to you, the students, said, put them together. And you have no idea, what it's like. So you don't know the piece, but they don't give you the box, right? So this is what I'm doing. I'm giving the box. I say, hey, guys, this is where you're going to go, right? And these are the pieces that'll, give you you'll end up with this destination. Oh, then they understand why they're doing what they're doing.
Yes, that is so true, because I do agree with you on that. That's why I resonate with your book, because when I was learning about, the aurthos system, they were just I agree with what you said. Why do we waste so much time doing, the exercise, right? And in the book, why can't we just, go to the Wing Chun, you can do that your own time.
Yeah.
And I do agree with that. And then I agree with so much what you say, that the style of Kung Fu that I learned, it was all about the basic exercise, right?
Yeah.
And it was all about the handset form, but it was never made you aware of how to be able to use the technique. It was just base form, right?
Yeah.
Until it was until you become a instructor. But when I learn about Wing Chun, I learned that when I learned about Tan Sao, all that stuff, the Hun Sao, that there's aspect of you can incorporate Wing Chun into other martial art, like because there are hidden aspects in the martial art form, like handset, like in whatever. But yeah, so like, do you agree that the whole you think it will be a waste of time just give the student, and like you said, without any direction, that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the you know, this is innate problem. I've done like other martial arts, and for example, Taekwondo. There's some good kicks there, and basically there's only three kicks. The whole martial art is three kicks, and then the reverse of it, right? You have a side kick, or you spin around and become a back kick, and then you have a roundhouse kick and a reverse roundhouse kick, right? Front kick, and that's it, and the rest is all fillers. Keep yes, there's some other things in there too. There's some discipline, and the form itself, all it's really totally impractical. All the lower blocks and high blocks like this, lower blocks like this, and when you spar, it doesn't work. And nobody uses it. And you see the Olympics now, the bunch of hopping rabbits, and the arms are totally dead and dangling on the side, and just use the legs, right? But what happens, I found, learning, yeah, I had the fitness involved, which is good, also. And it kept me in shape. But the martial part was concerned. It was very little. You had at the end of that an hour and a half class, we did 5 to 10 minutes sparring, and that sparring, there was no instructions at all. You had learned some kicks, and they told you to go in there and do it, and you go there, and we end up with some injuries, some broken fingers and broken toes and whatever, and they learn by yourself, and because there was nothing in there as far as philosophy is concerned, how to intercept, and the mind aspect, and nothing was there. So when I went to my old traditional Wing Chun school, it was all about just right into the Wing Chun. There was no like say warm up and all this stuff, warm up and wind down and all this, It wasn't none of those. So I thought to myself, yeah, actually that makes sense. When you learn martial arts, you should have already made some commitments. So I'm going to dedicate myself to this. I'm going to put some time. I'm going to also put some time, maybe towards fitness, right? So there's certain discipline you have to already develop. If you don't have that discipline already, then you're there just for fun. But, there are people there. So it was never meant to be a mass kind of a product, and it has become a mass product. And I see on YouTube people are having camps, and old ladies and guys who are 80s doing it. I'm saying nothing wrong with that, okay, but the way they're being taught, it's all basically just for money, So I have old student, I myself is like 65 years old, but I had a guy join in when he was 66, and he's 69 now, and he does it very well. And so, but he already knew he was going to commit to it. I'm not going to take somebody just for the summer camp. They're not going to get nothing out of it. What for? You just go take the money and do a bunch of stuff that doesn't. I see the old ladies. This is happening in Germany. It's ridiculous. I teach some really old people who don't want to commit so much. Who doesn't want to put in so much commitment to it. Yeah, you can teach them qigong or something, just there to breathe and stand there, sit, whatever it is. But for Wing Chun, I have to make sure that person has commitment. Then I will, because it's also, I have to commit to them too. And if they come and go, then it's a waste of my time. The money is a small matter, It's not like I'm taking a lot of money, so I don't want to waste my time, and unless the person is willing to commit. So I usually have a very small group, because I don't just have a whole large people just sign in. I know that it's not going to work. People bring the kids to me. I said I don't think it's going to work. Wait, send them to Taekwondo for now. when they're willing, they want to come, they search, they come to me. And also, again, now I'm coming to the point where I want to only teach people who are advanced or beginners who are totally already showing some commitment. Otherwise, they don't understand. The way I teach is they expect, the people who don't understand are coming there from seeing the movies. They're expecting something different, and that's not what I'm giving. Right? I'm there to really, it's a very slow process for me now. I used to teach differently. I used to teach in a way, entertain the students. So they come to me, I try to show them something new. Next time they come, something new, right? And not, let them stagnate. But today I don't care now. You get this piece right before you go to move to the next piece, right? Or else you don't get the fundamentals. Just like like you say with the drawing, you have to get some fundamentals first. And if you don't have the fundamentals, whatever mistakes you're going to make will always carry through the rest of your drawing life. And I know that because so you can see there's a guitar behind me. I've been playing guitar since I was 14, but I've never improved. I still play the C like I did because I tried to move too fast. I wanted to already do rock and roll and be on stage, but I never put the time in, and the time that a true guitarist should. So it was, but I did put my time in martial arts. That's where my heart was, and I gave up everything else. I never did any other sports. That was it, just martial arts from 11 years old onward. Nothing but martial arts, and it's the only thing I've actually stayed with, that long. Marriage just never worked for me. I tried, but it just didn't work for me. But this art has so much depth that I'm still learning that I'm not bored with it. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for you didn't explain a little bit. Can you explain a little bit more about the how can we get the best out of Silnum Tao and Chim Kyu and Pyu Chi, please?
Yes. Okay. Well, Silnum Tao, as I said, you should learn to do it very slowly. People, whisk through it, a minute and a half, 5 minutes. That's nothing, right? You should at least do it, once a week for an hour. You stand there and your hands are moving in totally slow motion, okay? And then you'll start sensing. You start, it'll give you time to also checklist. There's so many details to look after when you're doing the Silnum Tao. You have to have that structure, awareness of your body structure, you're upright, and you're also at the same time pushing your feet against, you're pushing your feet against the ground, and you're trying to push your head up the ceiling. There's the breathing involved. There's be aware of the path of your hand, the direction of the hand, the shape of your hand, your Tan Sao, Wu Sao, Fuk Sao. They all have certain shapes, just like, pencils or any tools, right? To make that tool work best, it has to have a certain shape. And you'll see Tan Sao in so many various hand shapes. No, there's only one best, right? So yeah, so when you do your Silnum Tao, you got to do it, meditatively and consciously, mindfully, not mindlessly. All the forms. People when they learn it, they do it mindlessly. They just they go through the motion, and they don't know anything anymore. They don't know what's happening. So it's hard on the knees, hard on the legs, hard on the feet when you do 1 hour, but you'll overcome it. Okay, and my students who do that always tell me, they benefited, a lot from it. Now, as far as Chum Kyu is concerned, so you're learning different aspects of your different levels of Wing Chun. Silnum Tao is your fundamental. So very important, you're learning about the structure, your body's structure. That with everything, your house, your pencil, your paper has to have a certain type of structure. You can't draw on tissue paper, right? it has to have some kind of body to it, and the pencil also same thing. It can be all the time, breaking, and so on. You don't want to waste your time, all the time, sharpening the lead and things like this, whatever it is. So you want to develop that, and when you become very strong in your structure and almost immovable, then you start learning Chum Kiu, where you're learning to move that structure and still be strong. Okay, and that's where a lot of people again fail. They don't know. They're moving around. You can't. When you learn martial arts, you can't be using your normal motor skills. That's not what it's about. If you're daily going, opening doors and, walking up the stairs and, eating, those are normal motor skills. And that's a problem with a lot of Wing Chun school. They teach you tan sao and a punch is like a normal, the way you would do, take your hand up to, grab something. No, you got to be, you have to be aware, how you're supposed to do that. It's not normal. Just like you're learning to juggle. With normal motor skills, you can't juggle. You have to learn certain timing and the way your hands move and so on to become a juggler or a swimmer. You can't, you first go swim, you can't just go. No, you have the certain skills of learning how to move those arms and feet and breathe, right? So same thing here. You can't just, do it like, after you learn simultaneously, you can, make this walk like you walk every day, just a little step here and there. There's a certain way of doing it, and, I'm not going to reveal these things, to the public, because these are things, again, again, it can't, even if I did it, it's not going to, it needs to be tweaked. Just like, you could, go on YouTube and tell them, how to draw just verbally. It's not, that's not going to do it. The guy has to come to your class to really, to get the feel of it, and you correct them and so on. But just to give you some tips that it's about Chum Kiu is about moving the structure strongly. You got to move just like a car, a truck. The truck has structure, right? It can't be a rickety rackety, a jalopy machine. The body has structure. The movable parts will move. The non-movable parts should not move. It has to be stable, right? And this is where a lot of Wing Chun guys miss out. The Chum Kiu is a guy can advance, and I just have to put the finger on the chest, and they won't be able to advance. So there's no, and then they suddenly try to fight that. No, that's not how to advance, right? So I do show some stuff on the YouTube. There's there's one YouTube where I'm actually moving a dummy, a freestyle. I'm teaching my students how to walk like the Chum Kiu, 1 quarter step and 1 quarter step, and deliver that force to the dummy. My dummy is always freestanding so that I can move him, not pinned to the wall. So when I do the dummy form, I take from one end of the room and finish. The dummy ends up in another end of the room. It's about force. In the end, martial arts, it's about force. You can't. In daily life, it's about force. There's always some forces that's coming against you. Mental, physical, whatever. It's about dealing with forces. So the Chum Kiu, you got to have that body structure to be able to, make small move and deliver large force, right? So then comes the Piu Chi. Now Piu Chi, then you're getting to higher level. You're fighting guys who are skilled, more skilled, who are able to break your structure and imbalance you. Even though you're strong, and that they are so strong that they are aware of that. They're aware. They're not fighting you just throwing punches and kicks. Now this is where most of the Wing Chun and other martial artists, there are only 3 elements in there. It's hitting, blocking, and I guess hitting, blocking. Yeah, 2. But I was going to say punching or arms and kicks, right? So there's either kicking or punching and then blocking. That's all they do. 3 things, right? And they're not thinking in terms of structure and balance. Some schools focus on those, like so judo, jiu-jitsu focus on balance and balance mostly, and grappling, right? But I'm trying to incorporate when I teach. Yeah, so now I incorporate. I also teach. When I teach Wing Chun, I make the person become aware of his structure, his balance, and also when we're sparring, we're doing that too. So you'll see me on YouTube fighting on a very narrow area, a meter by meter table, or on just little poles, bars, and so on. So we're also always aware of this, our balance and structure as well. So we're not only just hitting, and so we would take the guy down or imbalance him, and also do grappling. All this is in Wing Chun already, and if it's not in Wing Chun, the principles in there. Means if you can, if you're aware of yourself and your opponent, and you're aware of the environment, then you can fight standing or on the ground, or in the water, or in the air. Understand? So you don't. Well, some schools focuses on the ground or standing. What happens if you caught in the water? Suddenly, oh, I didn't take water training. No. But if you become aware with this, your body. After all, it's one body versus another body, right? And if you can, understand that and the environment, the awareness, you will adapt to it. Yeah. So the Puchi will teach you when you're imbalanced how to come back and recover, and and you're using some very sophisticated tools. There's some more tools involved, right? So you should have already perfected, come close to perfection of the basic punch and palm strikes and kicks up to the Chum. Then comes in the Puchi doing some elbow hits and some takedowns and tripping and some swinging hits using your different knuckles and those things. So a lot of people say, oh no, Puchi is it's more for recovering. No, I say no. It's, every fight is about recovery. There's no perfect fight. You're always trying to recover from something. So right from the beginning, you are learning. In Sifu Tao, it already teaches you some of the recovery things. When something doesn't work, how do you make the change? It's in there already. So when it comes to daily life, again, we think about it. All our lives, we need some kind of structure. We can't be going about loosely. Some things we got to shoot from our hips. Not everything has to be in order. So you have to understand both. There are parts you got. Say for example, your values, your principles, has to have some structure and stability, right? Then there's other things. Okay, you have to be more flowing when dealing with people. You can't be all stuck your way. So you have to be a bit mobile, flexible, adaptable. So Wing Chun teaches that. So when I'm with sparring, it happens. I do it all the time. Right? I can't say I'm fixed. No, I'm going to stay grounded. I move when the guy can move me. Understand? Otherwise, I'm going to fall. But I don't also move easily. All because the guy looks like he's coming forward. I don't move back like everybody does. Now people are always fighting, this way, this way, this way. No, he comes, I'm going to move in. Right? I'm going to test this. How good is his balance and structure? And if he happens to be has that, and he weighs more than me, and he moves me back, I move back. But if not, he crumbles. Doesn't matter. He has more mass, but he doesn't know how to use his mass. He's gonna get crunched. So that's life. You deal with life this way, the same way. You got to. I was told by my teacher, you know, you got to have always once on one hand one spoon of sugar and with the other one spoon of shit. You know, you got to give, you know, whether it's wife or children, your friend, what, you know, you got to trade it once in a while. You can't just be giving sugar. You can't always just be giving shit. You know, so and the same thing. There's a balance, and the whole, you know, aspect of Taoism, right? The yin and yang talks about that. It's about the harmony of balancing. You know, there's going to be black and there's going to be white, but it's always, you know, finding the medium. So my way of teaching martial arts, the first thing I do is neutralize. I don't go and just go to hit a guy. Yes, I go to hit a guy, but once he touches me, right, I neutralize that contact. I mean, I find out how much force it is. If he's putting 3 newtons of force, I put 3 newtons so it neutralizes before I do the next move. You know, I don't add that, you know, if I find that, oh, he's only putting 2, first I put 2, but after the 2, if he increases, I may decrease mine, or if he decreases, I might increase mine. Right? So when you neutralize and the person is not aware of the neutrality, he's lost. I'm aware. I'm in control. And so the neutralization, same thing with your daily life. You know, you don't just, if you constantly, you know, fix your stubborn and you're thinking of, you know, your point of view, right? Then you're blind. And then, in fact, the guy can, you know, pull the rug on you because, you know, because you only see one way. And so this is what we do in martial arts, right? When the guy puts too much force, then we, you know, we take advantage, you know, his force, and he's overshooting his force, so he you know, he gets imbalanced. I take that advantage to, you know, imbalance him more, right? So the same thing here in physical. So you learn a lot in life that, you know, sometimes you learn things, you know, mentally, and you can apply it physically, and sometimes you learn physically and apply it mentally, right? So same thing, yin and yang, right? So you must learn how to balance that. But a lot of it comes with age, and a lot of it again comes with our culture, Asian culture. We're already taught to yield from young, right? It's unlike the Western, where you're taught, you know, you're right, you fight it right no matter what, if you have to give your life for it, you do it, right? But Asians say, no, let him win this time. We'll come back and take him out later when the time is right. Or, you know, your parents always tell you, hey, you know, give it to your brother, or whatever, you know, this kind of yielding. So we already have this, you know, in our nature. So Kung Fu comes a bit easier for us because we learn to yield, right? Whereas the Western philosophy is about, you know, always, you know, kind of, parents already kind of push you, you know, in the Western, you know, to try to make you tough. So you grew up that way, you know, being, you know, not to be pushed back, and, you know, so you always deal aggression with aggression. So consequently, it gets acted out physically, right? So when I teach, it's even the Western women nowadays, they're very, you know, they become hard. But you start, you know, dealing with teaching Asian women, they're very soft. But Western women, you know, because they've been challenged so much, you know, also by, you know, the culture, you know, Western culture, the men. So they're taught to be tough, and, you know, or drink with the boys, and, you know, whatever it is, kind of a tough, you know, tough attitude. So physically, they become tough, and they participate in. There are more women doing, you know, Muay Thai than Wing Chun. They want to get into the rough stuff like the guys, right? And the Muay Thai is all aggression. There's no yielding at all. It's not, you know, it's all about conditioning, dish out and able to take it. That's it. No matter you go there, there's no particular thing. Kick, punch, knee, take, knee, punch, right? Women are doing it. So, and so I don't know. I said you have to understand the culture. So it's not only with the three forms, the chi sao, it's particularly chi sao. It's all about neutrality. As soon as you touch, right, and neutrality. Yes, that doesn't mean you're not going to resist. Like I said, he puts out 10, I may put out 10. Okay, but however, if my maximum is 10 and his is 12, he's a bigger guy, he puts it 12, that's when I give in. I'm going to make it minus, -2, so that he doesn't feel that the resistance, and then you can control that. But if I can, if I know how to put out 10, and he's big, he has the potential to put out 15, but he doesn't know he can only put out 8. I'll take advantage of that. I'll crush him, right? So, but then it's all this comes with experience and feeling and so on. So you can see on YouTube, all the my YouTube channel, all these guys are bigger than me, almost twice my size and half my age, right? And I move them so easily, lightly. It's just because they haven't yet quite learned to neutralize and take advantage, or learn to ground and so on, right? They could be bigger, but they don't know how to do it. So I teach them, right? But it's a very it's difficult. It's not as easy as just teaching guys tanso and pakda, But those pakdas are useless if you don't know exactly how much force to put into it. And without that learning to neutralize it, it won't work. And that's what doesn't work. Nobody's doing it. Nobody's doing it. But you'll see me. You hear in my when I spot, slap, pack, and a boom, boom, pack. I'm parking people. I'm trapping them, right? And pin them and a punch. Nobody's doing that. You look at YouTube, who's doing it? Only when they demo. Sparring, no. They don't even spar. You don't even see anybody spar. It's all demo. All choreographed, all demos every time, right? So a few odd, there's few odd ones you see them people challenge fighting, sparring. There's no Wing Chun, right? So I feel what I have to offer is something very advanced and stuff that already some of the top martial arts artists have reached that level. Like Bruce Lee, Musashi, and Sun Tzu. They talk about these things, and I have, they were before me, right? They have come to that, they have realized that, and I have come to that point now where I've realized this, and this is what I'm teaching, and it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Just like not every football player is going to be like Ronaldo, or every boxer is going to be like Ali or Tyson. It's not for everyone, right? So I can, in fact, I think I can coach, the best of the fighters there. I don't necessarily have to be the best fighter. I'm not trying to achieve that goal anymore. At my age, I'm not, not out there to be like, number one. Bruce Lee was only 32. He died, right? He wasn't that goal. But if he was my age, he'd be a bit different. He'd be teaching differently, right? So now, I feel like, even the best of the MMA, I have something to offer. They are already fighting with awareness. That's why they're good. You get the top guys, like McGregor, Da Silva, right? These are guys who are already applying the principles of Wing Chun. They're feeling and at that moment doing what needs to be done. They're doing right. However, I can still teach them just focus on that awareness. They're aware, but they're not quite focusing on the. They're training. They're still trying to learn. They're going and learning techniques from other schools. They're trying to find more techniques. But I can, when you go to these guys, they won't be teaching you awareness. You go to Ali, they won't be teaching you, or Tyson, they won't be teaching you about awareness. They will be teaching you hooks and so on. Understand? Because they're not aware that they have that awareness. But my training, I'll teach about awareness. So all this Chiso, all the forms, and all this stuff is about awareness. Taking your consciousness level to a higher level. Right? So, yeah, this is what I can offer. And I have, in fact, I just had a guy leave here from New Zealand. He had just spent 3 months with me to train, and I have people who come like that. They come, normally they come for a month, at least a month, date every day. They train, and some try 3 months, but it's hard training. If you don't show enthusiasm, I will not show enthusiasm also. You don't show the commitment, I will not commit. You come with commitment, enthusiasm, I will give my heart into it as well. And there have been guys who have come and they didn't show me enthusiasm. I don't, they come in, I ask them, what do you want? I said, do you want to be my student or client? Oh, what's the difference? I say, client, you tell me what to do and I'll do what you tell me to do. You want to be my student? I'll tell you what to do and you do what I tell you to do. Right? So, yeah, I generally don't like clients. I'm not that kind of a teacher. I say, I'll pay you, and they say, you teach me this, you teach me that. I heard a story where a guy walked into a school. He was a karate guy. Went to a Wing Chun school, said, here, how much you want to teach me the dummy? Guy says, $3,000. Okay, $3,000. Teach him the form, for 3 hours. And the guy goes, I'm not that kind of teacher. I know he's not going to get nothing out of it. But you're going to learn it without learning all the other things, structure, tansa properly, to learn that's exactly how the guy thinks he's going to, he's going to learn the dummy. Just some hand moves, bang, 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 and that's learning dummy. No, it's a lot more to it than that.
Right. You said, that's what I was about to get in. How can the audience to be able to practice Wing Chun and to master it, right?
Yeah.
To master it at your level. Like when I listen to how you say it, you're very self-aware. You know who you are, and you can feel you're very comfortable in your own body, right?
Yes.
And yes, and I can see that in you. And how can they? And you said it come with experience, and age too.
Yes.
And how can they be able to master Wing Chun? And what is the process of that?
Well, they have to come to me, as I said earlier.
Right.
Okay. Means I have done 47 years, so I didn't learn it right in the beginning. I had to go through all the mistakes that, to come to where I am today. However, if they come to me, they save the time. I give them what I know now. Understand? I give them for the 40 years, and the best part of it, they're going to learn now. And they're going to shorten the trip. Okay? So I was lucky, my teachers were very good. I learned from 3 different teachers, and they all taught differently. So, and they all came from Yip Man's lineage, and they learned from Yip Man's student. So I'm Yip Man's 3rd generation student. So I'm Yip Man's student. That's who I am. So Yip Man also taught. He was a very good teacher. He customized it, and I'm also the same. I customize according to that to the person. So this is why the three teachers were different. Okay, so because their teachers were had learned different parts of the Wing Chun. actually, even though we talk about Wing Chun being a very small package, okay, that it's just very small, condensed, it's still very big. In the Sifu Tao already have so many moves that we, most people just use 3 of them. Maybe, the 3 fundamental tan, okay, Fuk and Bong. And even Fuk, most people are doing, and then you learn to pass with the Wu Sao. But there's lots of it that comes out, and there's, all through the first form, or, the first third of the Sifu Tao gives you the real fundamental. And the second and third already add some extra tools in it. And people are not using them. It's actually very big. And then you have Chum again, there was more, and the Puchi, again, a slew of tools. Okay, just like I'm saying, you're drawing and paintings, it's getting more and more where you can actually make your drawings or painting very different because of the tools you have. Right? You can have all the imagination you want, but you still need some tools. So if you want this, so the drawings you have at the back, if you want more texture, you got to have something that will give more texture to it, right? Just that your color pencil is not going to do it, right? So same. So with this, it has a lot, but from there you see a student can extract different parts and make it their own to become good. So this is what I discovered with these 3 teachers. The first teacher was very very good with techniques, and the second was more good with feelings. A third was more good with the structure and the horse, the grounding. Okay, so and then I left Canada, so I left the teachers. So I went to Thailand and tried to find the Wing Chun teachers, and I couldn't find any that was decent. There were a couple of guys, and they were really inferior to me. So there was no reason for me to go learn from them. So then I dabbled in Tai Chi and Muay Thais and things like that, and even before I did boxing and so on, and to fill in the gaps. Then I realized, okay, that my passion, Wing Chun still made the most sense. It wasn't something I was going to replace. So I went back to Wing Chun and said, how am I going to improve my Wing Chun? So the first thing I did was, okay, I'm going to teach myself. I'm going to be my own teacher. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to take whatever I learned, I'm going to re-engineer. I'm going to take them apart, re-engineer them. Okay, just like a clock, I'm going to take them apart and find out, how this clock is made. And then I'm going to, not only that, I'm going to say, I'm going to treat everything I have learned as wrong. That's the only way you're going to learn, improve. Just like your computer operating system. You got version 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever it is. The only way you can get better is to find out the faults of the previous version. So I said, I'm going to treat everything wrong until it's proven right. Right. So I have to have some kind of a scale to measure, what is right and wrong. So number 1 is the center line theory. Does this adhere, this move, or this philosophy adhere to the center line theory? Secondly, then the 3 things I scale away. Is it economical? I mean, the least amount of energy to use it. Is it efficient? The least amount of movements. Is it productive? Will that give the biggest bang? So based on that, I reanalyzed the whole, all the forms, every drill. I went through that and I cleaned it up. I started doing things different from how I learned it. Okay, and not to say my teachers taught me wrong. They already gave me the fundamental, the basics. But what I got out of it is, I'm saying, okay, they could have learned it wrong. They didn't have it all right. Their teachers knew better, but they learned it. But then their teachers, when the Yip Man, maybe didn't have it all right either. So who's the best source? The original guys. So original guys, okay, they're dead. So how am I going to learn it? Well, they have left, information, the forms, the drills. They have left information, and there are spirits. Knowledge is spirit, energy. It's floating around, right? Once it's there, you can find it. Like today, the laws of physics, it's always been there. We're just discovering them. So I said, the founders are the I can't get better than them. Today we're doing, no matter how much time we spend on it, we're still doing it part-time. Not like them. Because we have distractions. We got computers and phones and TVs and wives who don't listen to you. Right? You got to fight with. Not like, you know, old days they're submissive and, you know, the woman just cook for you. Made life easy for you. You just practice your martial arts. No, they didn't hassle you. Didn't tell you to take them shopping, whatever it is. Right? So they dedicated their full lives into it. That's why they developed the art. Today we're not developing. Bruce Lee didn't develop anything. All the MMA guys didn't develop anything. They're just taking from the old still. Because the old guys are the ones who developed it. We're not doing anything new. So whatever I discovered, and they're discovered, again, new for, because I'm doing things other people are not doing at all. Okay, so it's my discovery. I may have invented it, but I don't think so. Again, I believe it's still that these guys already thought it out. So if there was a chat song, they taught a chat song. Whatever I learned didn't work, wasn't working, or wasn't doing it, is because it wasn't right. So I found the chat song that works. So I'm teaching a chat song that works. Okay, a tan song that works, a bong song that works. That's different from other people. Okay, and I do it all the time. You can see me sparring. You'll see me do a perfect, nice looking bong shot. Other people not do it. You know, they can teach one way or they do another way. Okay, I'm talking about sparring means no time to pose. Okay, picture to make it perfect. I'm moving and doing it. Okay, so what I'm saying is, okay, is that I re-engineered everything and I've brought it to where it is today. So a guy who comes doesn't have to go through all those mistakes. I can shorten his journey. It took me 47 years to get where I am. I can make it, you know, depending on that student again, right? Maybe 5 years, 10 years. That's much shorter than, you know, 47 years. I mean, the knowledge is I'm giving you everything. Okay, so you get these guys, you know, nuclear scientists, for example. They have to new country they're trying to do. They have to go through all the mistakes, right? Supposing America would just went here. Here's the information. Bang. They can make the right. North Korea's, you know, they have to steal it. They have to go try to find and steal it. Just like I did with Wing Chun, I go to the original source, right? Right? Because if you have to do it yourself and you're getting the wrong information, learning from the wrong people, you're just wasting a lot of your time. And then money-wise, yeah, you know, I'm not cheap because I have spent money and time. Yeah, so yeah, you know, I will shorten the trip. You know, they don't have to, you know, go through all this. Yeah, I said I charge. I'm not cheap, but in the long run, it is. You're getting, you know, the information you need, you want, and for the amount of time you spend learning elsewhere, wrong, and you're paying monthly, whatever it is, it's going to add up a lot more. Okay, so I went, you know, like I said, I was in Morocco for a year. I taught a guy who had already, he's a very wealthy guy, and he also high position in the government, is chief of security. And he brings in the best Muay Thai guys, the best of all martial artists. And I got a call from, you know, one of his agents. Said, you know, we're considering you. I said, well, I don't know. I said, how you know me? Nobody knows me, right? Everybody knows all the big names. Yeah, we checked them out. He said, the guy sent a letter to all the embassies in Morocco embassies all over the world to look for a Wing Chun master. And, you know, so it was narrowed down to, you know, me and I think a couple of guys in Hong Kong or something like that. Oh, at least one guy in Hong Kong. I said, yeah, what do you want? You know? So I said, you know, $5,000, you know, euros a month. everything paid for, and I want an apartment, I want a car, I want my daughter's education. Yes, 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 yes. And, yeah. And he says, okay. And I was surprised. I said, I didn't even know where Morocco was actually. I've seen movies about Morocco, but I didn't know exactly on the map. And he said, yeah, and he says, one condition, I'm going to send a guy to test you. Yeah, sure. What have I got to lose? Sends me a guy, 225 pounds, big guy with no neck. Yeah, told me, spar with me. Sure. Into the park and spar with him and corner him, in the trees the whole time, corner, and then. And I actually did it in front of my students. I had some students, and this was in Thailand. And I made it so easy. One of the guys says, "Can I try? Can I try?" Yeah. So it was very funny that the ground, there was grass and there was also gravel, sand, dirt and stone. So my student went at him, and he just stopped him like this. My student just slid back on the gravel, just bounced off, just. Anyway, after the sparring, the guy says, "Yeah." I says, "I think you got it." So he reported back to his boss. Right? Yeah. Then I went there, and I said he got the best. I met, I met the guys, Filipino guy, one, that he brought in. Superb. I've seen guys on, YouTube. I know by looking, I already know it's not going to work with some of his techniques they're doing. It's a real situation. Again, same, all the choreographed, and you can make it, anything. When you choreograph, there's no threat doing it. But this guy, he came in, he just threw a real knife at, my student said, "Come at me." Yeah, and you just moved. So, he brought the best of the guys. And he never done Wing Chun. He just, it was the first time we contacted, and it was 12:30. Wow, I got to go pretty soon.
Okay, so let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
What is your meaning of success?
What's the meaning of what?
What's your meaning of what does success look like to you?
Success?
Yes.
Well, it's not what your normal way of thinking. I had, again, a lot of people measure success with wealth, right? And I had actually achieved that. I used to have my own business, clothing business, and a restaurant, nightclub, and I travel around the world. I own a 911 Porsche. I own a Bentley. I dressed, very high fashion. Went to 5-star hotels, ate the best foods and all that. But but I was never impressed, by myself, and I wasn't there to impress my friends. I had all friends of all walks of life. I would throw a party, and then these guys would never get along. I would have a hippie here, I have a pimp over there, a thief there, and I have a businessman over there, rich, all kinds of guys for friends, right? So for me, success is, again, doing what you really love, to fulfill your dreams, right? And however, small or big it is. And for me, I've done it with martial arts. I'm really proud of my achievement in Wing Chun. And my teachers are too, and I believe, 2 of them retired. One's still teaching, and even though I don't do the way he does, we all grow. He's branched more into the health and character aspect of Wing Chun. He's a very devout Christian, so he decided to take Wing Chun to that path. So it's different from where my path. So, but he understands that he wasn't he didn't try to make a clone, you know, out of me, right? And same when I teach my students, also teach them to be very open to, you know, find themselves. I'm there just as a guide. So, you know, I put my, you know, students above my shoulders so that they can, you know, go higher than me eventually. I'll be very proud if they reach a higher goal than, you know, I have gone, right? So yeah, it's something that, you know, I feel very proficient. And this, I would say, you know, I've always felt, you know, that I've had some talents. You know, I was very good in drawings and other things too, and fashion and things like this. But I was always a bit ahead of time, which made it a problem for for getting the monetary success. Because if you're ahead of time, the mass is not ready for you, right? Like I built a real nice school in China, just like the old ancient Chinese home, you know, house, a big courtyard and all that. And but it was, you know, it was 2007, before, you know, people were doing martial arts tourism. So, you know, I suffered because of that, because there wasn't, people weren't ready for that kind of stuff. But now it's a big thing, right? And same thing in the fashion and everything. You know. But you know, but in Wing Chun, it's the same. Also in Wing Chun, I'm ahead of time. People are not training that way. So the guys who are shitty are very successful monetarily. Right? They're giving what the mass wants, right? I'm not giving what the mass wants. So, but I'm happy with myself. I'm not making much money and all, but I'm happy, and my students are very happy. The students that I do collect are very dedicated to me. They stay, you know, no, again, I would say loyal, but again, I don't expect the loyalty from me. They, you know, they branch out and they can do whatever they want. But you know, we remain friends, or we still have that relationship as, you know, Sifu and the students and disciples. I do have, you know, I've had some falling outs lately also, but you know, to each his path, right? So they're young, so they will learn as they get older also, right? But that to me, success. I was just saw a lecture, I think from Harvard, and this lady had, you know, with a team had done a research on success, and she weighed all kinds of, you know, factors, including, you know, talent, intelligence, good looks, you know, whatever, wealth, and the final commonality that came in the end was what she called grit. And I think she's absolutely right. You know, like you don't have to be talented. You have to have the money. You don't have to be good looking, connections, all that stuff. If you stick it out, the grit is what's going to eventually get you, you know, be successful, whether it's monetary or, you know, achieve the goal that you do, you know, you finally do. So yeah, to me that is success, and I think I, you know, in that part I was, you know, I feel I've been successful, and it's a beautiful thing to be, you know, successful in this martial arts, because I never thought, you know, it was a hobby and I enjoyed it. Never thought it would be a career, but it's a fantastic career. It's the only career that, you know, your value goes higher as you get older, you know, and anything else it goes down basically as you get older. And it's the tools that you carry is totally portable. You know, I don't have to carry anything with me. I can go any part of the world. I don't even have to have the language skills, right? And I can transmit the information. I'm carrying with me all this information, you know, that, like I said, it's portable, and it's valuable to those who, you know, who seek it.
Where can we find you online?
Okay, I have several, you know, website. I had initially, you know, 1999, I started this website, wcats.com, like wcats.com, all small letters, and means Wing Chun Academy, Thailand. Right, so that stayed with me till 2012 when I moved to Canada. And now I started one called xuanwingchun.com. You know, my last name Xuan, Wing Chun spelled WINGCHUN.com. And then I have also YouTube. It's Wing Chun Shifu, you know, with a SHIFU, wingchunshifu.com. And Facebook also, it's Danny Xuan hyphen Wing Chun, or Wing Chun Shifu as well. I can't remember if it's Shifu or Sifu in Facebook. So yeah, that's where I'm, can be reached.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sifu. I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful. Thank you for taking the
You're
time.
welcome. Thank you very much. You've been a pleasure to talk to. So anytime you need to, reach me, have some question, feel free, or any of your, subscribers, if they're interested, can contact me. My email is again xuan@xuanwingchun.com or wingchunacademy.com.
And also, you can also get his book at Amazon.
And any major bookstore should have it, and any of the online companies besides Amazon, Indigo, and any of those. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, guys. That's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.